Hi and welcome back. If it is your first time, I'm happy to have you here. And if it is your second, third, fourth, seventh time, keep going and you'll definitely get to a point where you have made a difference with these videos. So let's talk about this short and sweet but impactful video that we're about to have. But before we move forward, my name is Natasha Evangeline Berry, and I am a mindset coach. I'm an NLP practitioner. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm also a speaker and a firm believer of living a life of progression. And today I'm gonna put on my NLP practicing as well as my speaking hat on, because I'm going to speak about one of my favorite topics and one of my signature topics that I speak about, which is faith, right? And I came to the realization that I was actually implementing neuro linguistic programming techniques in my faith. I was just not aware of. So if you hear that a lot of things are in the Bible and you can find anything, 100%, I believe that. I hope you do so as well, because I came to this realization and it was solidified by this course that I was having. And I had moments where I was like, this is it. I have been doing this. But then the difference then came in knowing how to do it, how to make it more impactful, and how to develop lasting impressions that were dedicated on my spiritual goals, or um, moments where I was going through turmoil or turbulations, and it was very difficult, right? We have these words that we hear all the time, believe, and you're like, yes, I believe, but it's not working. But how are you believing? Hey, what are the physical things that you're also doing, or mental strategies that you're using in your believing, right? So that is what we're going to be looking at and kind of getting more into the detail, but we're going to make sure that it is so that we'll be able to remember everything. And at the end, I'm going to give you a tip on how to remember these 3 verses that I'm going to share with you today, and you're going to be memorizing them with me as well, because I'm going to make them my verses for the week. So we are going to take a look at Matthew. We're going to take a look at Matthew 6 verse 34, Mark 11 verse 24, and Hebrews 6 verse 19, right? And we're going to link these to NLP techniques that I usually implement in my programs or in my coaching sessions with different clients, but making sure that they're unique and they are the ones that they need for a particular goal that they approach me for. So let's start with looking at Matthew 6 verse 34, which reads, "Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself." So we are getting to mindfulness. So this is a very important mental strategy that eliminates a whole lot of things that we go through, like stress, anxiety, the feelings of just always thinking about the future and the past. You have regret and you have uncertainty, and you end up really not progressing in the present on that day. So this is something that I did discuss in my previous video. If you want like extensive information on this, please visit my previous video where I discussed mindfulness. But just for the sake of getting like a whole small little description, it's a process where you have to focus on the present. So you can, like, for example, if it's today, I have to make a video for the webinar, I have to make a video for my YouTube channel, I have to make a video, I have to fix this, this, and this. So I have to sort this out in order of priority so that I can address the immediate thing that I need to do. So this really does reduce a lot of stress, and then you don't end up worrying about, okay, how about tomorrow's video? What am I gonna do about next week's webinar, or next month this and that? So you get to a point where you have less things to worry about because you are arranging your things in order of priority, right? So the next aspect that we're going to discuss is Mark 11 verse 24, which reads, "Therefore, whatever you ask in my name, believe that you have received it and it shall be yours." So this is the aspect of believing. We have heard a lot of times that you should believe in this and it shall be yours. You should believe. Are you not a believer? But how are you believing? What are you doing during your believing, right? That's the question we want to get here. So in our sessions, of course, with the different clients that I have, we get to a point where we actually apply this NLP technique where you imagine what you want out of the session. So we kind of take a look at, why are you here? What do you want to get to? How does that look like, right? So if you want, you can actually kind of pause the video, close your eyes, imagine that goal that you want, like vividly. Elicit all the modalities that you can think about for that thing. You're going to find yourself smiling, I'm telling you. So I want you to post on the comment section what happened when you actually thought about it, and write it down, and let's see if there's actually a difference on when you apply this technique or if you do not apply this technique. So what does this do? This gives you an immediate reward. And who doesn't want an immediate reward? I mean, we're living in a life where we're just getting things immediately. You're sending a message, you get a heart message back, and you're like very happy, right? Even without seeing the person. So you get to a point where you get that immediate reward. So instead of waiting to get 20 bucks next week, you're getting $5 today, and then the rest when you get like the 15 in the next week. So this helps with accomplishing goals and pushing forward, keeping motivation, and making sure that you're not really swayed by a lot of things, because you have the actual image of what you want. So for example, let's take it spiritually. You want to improve your praying habits, you want to improve your Bible reading, and you want to believe more, but then you do not really know how to. Try and apply this technique. See if it works. Come back on this video. Write down on the comment section what really happened when you did that. So let's go to our next one. Let's talk about Hebrews 6 verse 19, which reads, we have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. It enters the inner sanctuary behind the curtain. What is this hope? Of course, it is the hope we have in Jesus Christ. And what does having an anchor does? So the third one is linked to anchoring. So we had mindfulness, we had believing. Now we're talking about anchoring. So with anchoring, you get to a point where you are grounded, you are connected, you get confident, right, in why and what you're approaching or pursuing. So there are two aspects that come with anchoring, which is remembering and giving meaning. So for example, you want to gain confidence, you want to curb a certain habit, you want to kind of work on anger management. So anchoring is a technique that can be used to kind of elicit one of these characteristics or curb some of the habits. Sometimes you have like two things that you want to work on, but then the other one is not so positive. For example, you have a feeling of happiness, but then you feel anxious as well. So you have a birthday party, you're excited about it, but then you can't help but to feel anxious. Anchoring kind of helps getting rid of that anxiety and get to a point where you just experience that happiness all in all 100%. Or you might be motivated, but then there's hesitation, or you might be attracted, but then there's fear. So this is a relationship when you're attracted to someone, but then you're also afraid of uncertainty. Is this real? You know, all those things that we think about when we're approaching a potential partner. So by anchoring, let's take it back. So by anchoring to Jesus Christ, you remember he loves me, he died for me, and he's always there, right? So that gives meaning to why you're actually believing in this, right? It is assurance as well. So I want to give it back. So when we deal with anchoring, we kind of find a physical anchor that you can use to make that internal anchor more stronger, because sometimes as humanity we need that physical assurance for that internal goal that we have. So that is something that we actually work on depending on each client. So NLP techniques, Neuro Linguistic Programming Techniques, also kind of looks at the mental states of the people who are successful, who were able to kind of go through what we're going through and came out at the end. So here we're not really going to look at successful people. We are, but then we are going to look at biblically. I want you to comment below who you thought about when I mentioned this, but I'm going to talk about Job, right? That's the person who went through the most. He lost his his kids, his own wife turned against him and kind of encouraged him to kind of leave God, because this is way too much. This is way too much turbulence. This is way too much turmoil. You cannot handle it. And everything was just going sideways. But by being mindful, right, by believing and hoping in Jesus Christ, he was able to kind of come back and kind of embracing that believing that he had, to the point where at the end he ended up getting much more than what he had. So I want us to kind of leave this with these 3 verses etched into our mind. So this is how you're going to remember this. This is how I remembered them, to be able to kind of talk to you in this video, because I'm a numbers person. I deal with kind of making sense and patterns. This is how I did it. So we're going to have M, and H, right? We're going to have 6, 11, 6. Then we're going to start with the largest number, which is 34, 24, 19, right? So that is Matthew 6, verse 34, Mark 11, verse 24, and Hebrews 6, verse 19. So these are the verses that you can keep in mind when you're kind of pursuing that goal. You want to curb that habit, but then you're feeling yourself backtracking, but it is not working. So this is also a technique that I use with different clients. If it is a numbers person, we find a code for you to remember easily and kind of move forward. If you are a more emotional, touch to yourself person, we also look for ways that will help you in certain ways. So I hope this was very helpful, and put in the comment section what you think, and I will be looking forward to seeing you next week in our next video on investing our mindsets and making sure that we have that thing that no one can really steal from us and can make a difference in our lives. So I'll see you next week.